What is going on, guys? Chip here. Welcome back to another Pokemon TCG video. Today I'm going to be going over the list I used at Fort Wayne Regionals this past weekend. Thanks so much to everyone who came up to me and said hello. This is probably the most people I've ever had come up to me at a single event and say that they watch my videos and enjoy what I do. So thank you guys so much. It really does mean a lot to me and I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be going over the Tool Drop, TrainerChip, Garbodor box deck that I played. I didn't do as well as I hoped I did. Finish at top 256. I did hit a couple of bad matchups in the early rounds, which I'll go over when I talk about the tournament report after I do the deck profile. Also, let me know if you guys enjoy these type of deck profiles more than doing them just on the computer for post-tournaments and stuff like that. Yeah, just let me know if you guys like the in real life stuff better or the computer stuff. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into this. This is the same list that Bradley Curcio and Azul Garcia Griego played to Brad top 32 and Azul top 64. And yeah, we worked on the list to, well, I had been considering Garbodor for the tournament, and then I saw Azul's list Friday night, and then talked to them about it Saturday morning, and they convinced me of a couple different changes between the list I had built and what they had worked on. And so this is the same list that they played, and yep, let's go ahead and just hop into it, starting off with 4 copies of Tool Drop Trubbish. Tool Drop, for those who don't know, is an attack for a Psychic and a Colorless. It does 20 damage times the number of tool cards in play, so Trubbish actually becomes a pretty strong attacker in this deck. I'd say probably the attacker you attack with the second most often. The first most we'll talk about in just a second. But yeah, Tool Drop is just super solid. We play a decent amount of tools ourselves. Our opponents will almost always be playing tools down as well. So Tool Drop sets up great two-hit knockout numbers, excuse me, with other attackers that we have in the deck. So yeah, very strong. And with the Dimension Valley Stadium, we can use it for just 1 Psychic Energy. We did choose to play just 2 copies of the TrainerChip Garbodor, which may seem kind of strange. And it was a last-second cut in the line the morning of. We really wanted another one of the cards in the deck, and Brad suggested we cut one of the TrainerChip Garbodors. We do have double Rescue Stretcher in this deck, so getting them back is never that big of an issue. It was kind of hard finding them sometimes, which is a little annoying, but honestly, I think that the split is okay here with just having 2 TrainerChip. Of course, TrainerChip, 20 damage times the amount of items your opponent has in their discard pile, so very strong attack there as well. You guys know, has been one of the best cards since it came out. We also have 1 copy of the Garbotoxin Garbodor. Garbotoxin, just too good of an ability not to include, in my opinion. I did choose to play the Dragon's Exalted / Legendary Treasures Garbodor as opposed to the Breakpoint Garbodor, just because Sludge Toss, we could potentially have used it. I never used it. It just seems more feasible that we would use Sludge Toss over Offensive Bomb, so I ended up putting this guy in. 60 damage, you could knock out like a Joltig or an opposing Trubbish or something along those lines, maybe, for just 2 Psychic Energies. And then we've got 3 copies of Tapu Lele, just really great consistency, of course, setting up Wonder Tag, very good ability, and Energy Drive, a very strong attack. Ended up attacking probably the most with Tapu Lele throughout the weekend. This is probably my main attacker most of the time, followed by Trubbish and then Garbotoxin, or not Garbotoxin, TrainerChip Garbodor. But yeah, and Tapu Cure, also a solid GX attack. We have a lot of GX attack options in this deck. I used Tapu Cure at least 2 times, once against Trevenant, once against Greninja, so it's a very good attack as well there. So 3 copies of Tapu Lele GX. Now on to the mini one-ofs we have. We do have 1 copy of Drampa GX. We really wanted Righteous Edge for any of those Toad decks that might be running around to get rid of special energies, and also Righteous Edge was very good against things like the Golisopod deck that played nothing but special energies, and Berserk is still a very good attack, and Big Wheel, a decent GX attack as well. I actually never ended up using Big Wheel throughout the weekend, but definitely still an option in the deck. We've got 1 Necrozma GX, one of the cards that really just makes this deck really, really good. Black Ray GX, just being able to slap on a DCE, bring this guy up to the active with a Dimension Valley in play, and hitting 100 damage on all EXs and GXs in play. Just sets up your numbers so easily for the rest of the game to clean up with Tapu Lele, to clean up with Tool Drop, or to clean up with TrainerChip. So Necrozma, definitely one of the best cards in the deck in my opinion. And then rounding out the Pokemon here, we've got 2 more options. We've got the Oricorio with Supernatural Dance, of course with Night March running around, we definitely wanted this card, and it's just a good card in general. After a Black Ray, if there's Pokemon in the discard pile, we can use Supernatural Dance to pick off some benched Pokemon. After hitting a little bit of damage early with Tool Drop or Energy Drive, we can clean them up with Supernatural Dance. And with Dimension Valley, we actually don't need any energy to use that attack. We can just slap it down and go from there. And to finish things off, we do have a Giratina promo. This was for Trevenant. I did end up playing 2 Trevenant, and this was very useful in those matches. I almost attacked with it against one of the Trevenants. I started attaching Psychic Energies to it to use Shadow Claw, but it never got to that point, thankfully. But yeah, so there's the Pokemon lineup. Moving on to the supporters, we do have 3 copies of Professor Sycamore, 3 copies of N. I think this is what we wanted as the draw supporter line. I had originally been playing 4-2. They convinced me over to 3-3 just because if there's the Garbodor Mirror, N is better for the most part because you don't want to be discarding items. And there's, you know, never really a time where I wanted more Sycamores over the ends. Finishing off the draw supporters, we do also have 1 Colress, one of the better draw supporters, one of the things we get here in Expanded, so definitely a good inclusion. 1 copy of Guzma and 1 copy of Lysander for the switching cards. I like the split here. We don't play 4 Floatstones like you might would in Standard, so having the split was a good option throughout the weekend. We've also got 1 copy of Teammates, really good in these you know, 1 prize attacker decks. Once a Tool Drop gets knocked out or a Garbodor, we could just go search for another piece of whatever we needed to get the next knockout. Also really liked Teammates in combination with Necrozma. Just being able to Teammates for Necrozma and Double Color Synergy, or Necrozma Dimension Valley, or, you know, whichever of the pieces we needed still, made it so easy to just Black Ray GX for a lot of damage, to get a lot of damage in play. We've got the 1 copy of Bridget, probably our best supporter turn 1, being able to just go search out Trebishes, get Necrozma, Oricorio, Giratina, Drampa, even a Lele, whatever we need, we can get out with Bridget. 1 Acerola, probably one of the better supporters in the deck for me throughout the weekend. I used this all the time, just picking up damaged Pokemon, denying knockouts for my opponent. And then also 1 copy of Delinquent. This is the card we wanted in the deck to cut the 3rd Trashalanche for. Ultimately, I think I would have rather had this been a Getsis. I did play against 2 Sableye Garbodor decks, and Getsis could have been very, very good against those things, but unfortunately, decided to go with the Delinquent, and yeah, so that's all she wrote. That is what it is. And then 4 VS Seekers to round the rest of everything out. Continuing on to the items here, we do have 4 copies of Ultra Ball, just, you know, 4 Ultra Ball, pretty standard stuff. Yeah, not much more you can say about Ultra Balls there. We've got 2 copies of Rescue Stretcher, great to get back Garbodors, great to get back Tapu Lele to reuse Wonder Tag, great to get back Oricorio against something like Night March once they knock it out. Rescue Stretcher, of course, just being very good. We got 1 copy of Field Blower as well. Felt less of a need to have 2 copies in this deck since we don't Trashalanche as often as you might would in Standard, but Field Blower is still very good. I honestly would maybe consider playing Startling Megaphone instead of Field Blower. That's something I'll have to look at for Daytona potentially if I end up making that trip. We've got 3 copies of Floatstones onto the tools here. 3 copies of Muscle Band, and then 1 singular copy of Choice Band. The reason we played the split here is just because Muscle Band was better for the most part against things like the Mirror Match, against things like Night March. Like, there's just a decent amount of 1 prize Pokemon running around. So we wanted Muscle Band. Muscle Band is just really good on Tool Drop, really good on Tapu Lele. I played against a Greninja, and it was very good on Drampa to be able to one-shot Greninja breaks. So, yeah, we decided with the Muscle Band, but we did still want 1 Choice Band in order to hit odd numbers with Trashalanche on things like Tapu Lele, other 170 HP Pokemon or 150 HP Pokemon like Marshadow or something like that. So, Choice Band was still good. There was a couple times where I just wished I had just 3, or excuse me, where I wish I had just had 4 Muscle Bands, but honestly, I think I would still keep the Choice Band because there are a couple times where it mattered, and you can always search it out with Teammates after something gets knocked out to help boost your damage there. So we've also got 3 copies of Dimension Valley, not 4. Just the optimal stadium, of course, makes all of our attackers, you know, basically work in this deck. It makes it so we can use Tool Drop for 1 energy, makes it so we can Black Ray for a DCE, makes it so we can Supernatural Dance for free, makes it so we could Sludge Toss with Garbotoxin for 2 energies, you know, never really happened there. But I also Energy Drived with Lele with just 1 energy for 40 damage a couple of times throughout the weekend. It was kind of funny and not something I had really expected going in, but Energy Drive for 40 helped me set up numbers later on down the road against Garbodor GX, where I didn't want to put a bunch of energies on my Lele, so that worked out. And we've got 1 Computer Search as the A-Spec. You could maybe run Dowsing Machine. There was somewhat of an argument for that to get back a tool or to get back a Dimension Valley, but there was a lot of times throughout the weekend where Computer Search was like my only draw out in my opening hand, so I was really glad that I had it. So yeah, I don't think I would switch off Computer Search. You could also make an argument for Life Dew, since it is a tool. It does boost the damage of Tool Drop, but I think Computer Search's consistency just always reigns supreme. We've got, to round the list out, we've got 7 Psychic Energies. Of course, just powers up all of our attackers, and 4 double colorless energies. Every single attacker in our deck uses double colorless except for Tool Drop Trubbish and Garbodor here, but we never attack with this anyway. So double colorless is of course great in the deck. So there's the list. Let me know what you guys think down below. Would have liked to have done a little better, but sadly did hit a couple of those bad matchups in the early rounds. I'll go over my tournament report really quick. Round 1 was against Zachary Baker, who was playing Trevenant. And Tina Promo just puts in so much work against Trevenant. It was not that hard of a matchup. It was the first round of the day, and I was having a really hard time finding my Trashalanche Garbodor, so that was right after that. I went up to Brad Nazul and I was like, why did we cut this third Trashalanche? I really wanted it the whole game. Brad said he played against Trevenant too, and it was the same thing, that he just had a really hard time finding it, so... but ultimately, I think that the cut was fine. But anyway, continuing on. Round 2, I go up against Alejandro Luna, who was playing Sableye Garbodor, which is a very difficult matchup for this deck. You might think that it's not that bad, since we do attack for just 1 energy with Garbodor or Trebushes to take knockouts on our opponent. But they always, if they can get Life Dew down early, it does just become really hard. And if they get up any sort of lock, it just becomes really tough. I actually was in a position against Alejandro where I could have won game 1 I had like 6 turns or so where he didn't know what the top card of my deck was, and I had a Guzma and a Computer Search in the deck, so if I drew either one of those, I would have been able to Guzma out an EX on the bench and take a knockout with Trashalanche. I had started Necrozma in that game, so he had that guy stranded active, unfortunately. But unfortunately, I never drew it, and then he played a Rocket's Handiwork and discarded both my VS Seeker, my last VS Seeker, and a Guzma, and like 2 energies or something like that. So it was, at that point, I just scooped up my cards and we went on to game 2, and then I lost game 2 because he got the lockup again, and there was really nothing I could do, unfortunately. Then round 3, I played against Brian Hunter, who was playing Volcanion. Brian ended up making day 2 and making a top 32 with Volcanion, so huge congratulations to him. Unfortunately, I think the matchup is pretty close. He got turn 1 Kiawe all 3 games, I believe. I did end up winning a longer game 2. I had a 4-prize turn where I had a prized Lysander, and I had like 200 damage on a Turtonator with a Fighting Fury Belt, and then I got Field Blower to the Fighting Fury Belt, took 2 prizes, and then got Lysander off the prizes to Lysander and EX for the game, so that was pretty good there. But then in game 3, I prized my Necrozma, which is very important in that matchup. Just getting that 100 damage out there makes it so I can easily clean up knockouts the rest of the game with Tool Drop or Tapu Lele or even Trashalanche. So because of the prized Necrozma, I mean, he did only have 1 item in his discard pile, I think, in game 3, but even still, I could have attacked with Lele or Trubbish or something, and because Necrozma was prized, I really didn't have any of those options, so I dropped another one there, starting off 1-2, not really what I wanted to do, and then the pairings go up for round 4, and I see him playing against my friend William Herman, who I know is playing Sableye Garbodor, and I'm like, why did this happen to me? Why am I playing against 2 of this super fringe deck in the first 4 rounds? But we sit down, and yeah, I think game 1 was actually really, really close, but he was able to take all of his prizes, I believe, with Trashalanche, because that's what they play Trashalanche now, and yeah, you know, it just happens. And then game 2, he got the lockup, and I couldn't really do anything. So It is what it is. I started off 1-3 playing against 2 Sableye Garbodor decks. Not what I wanted to do, but you know, it is what it is. And then round 5, I go up against Jordan Power, who is playing Trevenant, and Tina Promo, like I said, from round 1, just puts in so much work against Trevenant, and that matchup seemed pretty good to me, so got a win there. Round 6, my opponent actually did not show up, so don't know what he was playing, and we will move on to round 7, who was up against Jackson Paulson, who was playing Greninja. And once again, Giratina Promo plus Garbotoxin was just too good of a combo. Game 1, I got both of them out because I didn't know if he played Silent Lab or not. And then I saw he just played Rough Seas, no Silent Lab. So Game 2, I just got out the Giratina Promo, and it was game over from there, pretty much. Drampa was so good. Tapu Lele hitting for 70, or hitting 60 turn 1 with a DCE Muscle Band is really good, and being able to knock out Frogadiers for just 1 attachment after a Water Duplicates is really good with Lele, so I used that a lot. And then we've got round 8 versus Timothy O'Connell, who was playing Night March, and Tool Drop plus Oricorio. It was just ended up trading favorably in my favor, and he played down his Shaymins and his Marshadows, so I just ended up being able to win that one. So going from 1-3 to 5-3 felt pretty nice going into the last round, thinking, hey, maybe there's a chance I can get top 128, get some points. And people were even saying at that point that 5-4s were going to get top 256, or some 5-4s were going to get top 256, so I was like, hey, there's a chance I get points regardless, which would be really nice. But I sit down round 9 against Tyler Johnson, who is, or Johnson, wow, sorry. It's in all caps on my phone here, so I couldn't read it right. Anyway, Tyler Johnson, who was playing Gardevoir GX. So that is definitely a harder matchup. Twilight GX makes it kind of difficult. Game 1, he kind of just rolled me, unfortunately. He, let's see, he Twilighted, then I End, and then he drew off of the End Rare Candy Gardevoir, and just kept going from there. Game 3, Necrozma GX put in a lot of work, putting 100 on all of the guys. Also, Tapu Lele being able to Energy Drive just for 40, like I mentioned earlier, was super good, and was able to win a longer Game 2. We didn't have time to finish Game 3, unfortunately, so the last round did end in a tie, but that meant both of us walked away with some championship points, so I was fine with it, and I think he was fine with it as well, so finished at 5-3-1, top 256, 30 championship points, putting me at 165 out of 400 points on the season. Definitely had a very strong start to the season so far, really enjoying just getting a lot of my points already. Means I might have to go to less League Cups down the road. But once again, just huge thank you to everyone who came up to me this weekend. It really does mean a lot to me, and I loved getting to talk to you guys. So there's the list. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know how you did at Fort Wayne Regionals this weekend down in the comments down below. And let me know what you think about this format with no computer and just the actual real-life deck list. Let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm going to get out of here, and until next time, take care.